All right, let's move on. I want to try to pick up the pace. Okay, so you're going to tell us what you find doing your validation activity, your primary, secondary market research. How did it clarify your hypotheses? Did it change them? What evidence do you have for your hypotheses? Okay, we're going to live in an evidence-based world for round two. The more evidence you have, the more convincing your thesis is, right? So that's going to be kind of important. And also give a little bit of thought to how big is the market, right? If we're going to sell custom guitars and components around custom guitars, how big is that market? How big is that market? If you're going to sell mid to high-end market shoes sourced out of Colombia, how big is that market? Right? Because that's going to kind of, it's an estimate, but it's kind of an educated estimate. Okay? All right. So, no competition means what? No market. Right? No competition means, okay, you're either the smartest guy or gal in the world, or there is no market. So please don't say no known competition. No competition means no market. So tell us about who your competitors are in the business market space, and keep it simple. Identify just 2 or 3 and say, here's our differentiation. We're unique or better for these reasons. Here's kind of where we're on parity with those guys, or they're better for these reasons. Okay? We're better for these reasons. That's all sensible. Now, how do we compete? What's the basis for competition? Chris, give me one.
Really proposition value?
Say again?
Proposition.
Value proposition, absolutely. In the back.
Creating competitive edge.
Competitive edge. A unique feature. We compete on many, many bases. Price, all kinds of things. Here's my list, just to get you thinking. Okay? We might compete on features. You're a software company, you're a product, you tend to compete on features. You might actually compete on markets. We're uniquely serving this market. That's what we're focused on, okay? We might compete with who we partner with. We have world-class partnerships. Our channels and how we go to market. How we price. Tough to compete on price. If you're the low-cost provider, it's a very tough way to compete. In a commoditized market, it's very challenging to maintain profitability, but you might decide to compete there. Evie?
Can you impact market in part of your value proposition?
Absolutely. Great point. Your impact might really resonate with some consumers, but be forewarned, if your market is a restaurant and your food is bad, but you have wonderful impact, guess what? People are not coming back to the restaurant. Okay? So don't confuse your impact thesis with some level of quality that you've got to deliver. I've been in a couple bad restaurants in my time once, right? Even though I love the mission. Okay, so you want to make sure that there's some connection there to the quality of what you're doing. Your user experience might be phenomenal, and you might compete on that basis. Your value, there's a lot of things and reasons for you to be competing. You should know what they are. You should absolutely know what they are. Okay? So in the impact market, we don't really compete. I think we cooperate more. I think there's more of a sense of cooperation. We compete in the sense that sometimes we're going after the same donors and some different things, but maybe it's my, positive side that says when we're an impact-oriented, we tend to be more collaborative than not. But in your case, I would encourage you to think about who are the organizations that we might be partnering with to help have our impact with. Okay? Is that fair? All right, so I'm going to encourage you to think collaboratively about your impact arena, competitively about your business market arena. Okay, so I'm wondering, without breaking up again in the interest of time, do you guys have clarity about who you compete with? Give me a thumbs up if you think you have clarity about that. Give me a I'm not sure, give me a I have no idea. Ready? Thumbs up, you kind of know who you compete with? Luke and Matt, you think you're up, okay? Yeah, anyone feeling like not sure? Okay.
Do we have time?
Selson, you're not, you're good, okay.
Do we have time to hear a few examples?
Sure.
I want to hear some examples, like what serve and serve. Who do you guys compete with?
Basically, our market is filled with a bunch of small segments, and we want to join it all. So our competitors might be people that don't want to work with us, but it'd basically be surfing mission strips that are located in one spot instead of collaborating and covering the whole globe.
Yeah. You're from Surf and Serve, yeah?
Yes.
So like FCA Serve or Serve in the Nations.
Okay.
Very good market examples.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly unique what you guys are proposing, I think. How about who you collaborate with?
We actually would collaborate directly with our competition. I think the way it would align, the impact market is
Yeah.
the same, so the goals and missions would be aligned.
Okay. I even thought you could partner with larger churches. I think there are plenty of men's groups that would say, this sounds like a cool thing to do. So we gave you guys, I think, some pretty pointed feedback on ways to enlarge your vision. We're excited about what you're proposing, so it's really a neat vision. Okay? One more.
One more.
All right, who can we call on? Aaron, tell us who you think you compete with. Well, thumbnail, like 30 seconds, your idea, your business.
Growing and selling ancient grains in the United States. The differentiation is growing. Our competitors would be, there are some smaller farms, particularly in the West, Colorado and Washington, who have already started to grow some ancient grains. In Canada, there are some pretty large farms that are starting to do this, and actually the crop that we're considering focusing on for now is there's also a farm in the UK that is growing over 100 acres of it.
Okay.
I mentioned those just because, like, who is growing it and who is selling it. Then there's also, we want to brand it ourselves. Right now, we're thinking.
Yeah.
So you have places like Ancient Harvest and Red Bills or Red Bob Mill or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Who are importing and selling ancient grains as well. So.
Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Thank you. Okay, your offer, whether service or product, and your key partners. The key things here is offers allow you to deliver, in some sense, differentiated value. Right? Your offer is about differentiated value. Your partners help you deliver on that value. Right? No small business does it on their own. So who do you partner with to get your product or service to market is what we're interested in here. Okay, being strategic about those partnerships. Okay? So, first you're going to do is you're going to describe in very simple terms what your product is. If you're a restaurant, that might be establishing your menu. Right? I'm just trying to really simplify. You're a consulting services firm, it might be a schematic of the services you offer. You're a software product company, it might be a diagram of the kind of high-level capabilities and feature set of your product. Now I want to do a mirror image below of what you might do on the impact side in your business to complement those things. So your offer on the impact side for the restaurant might be you're going to employ people with intellectual disabilities as part of your value prop to the restaurant. All kinds of impact there. Happens to be a plan in the competition. Or that consulting services firm that's going to do strategic market consulting is also going to offer those same services to the nonprofit sector and those that really missionally align with what you're all about. Right? Great impact and synergy there. On the far right, another example might be that you're offering the software platform, but you're training. One of our plans, WeWeb, basically has this idea of being a web and mobile apps company, but training people with high school degrees in Africa and the Caribbean with those skills so they can be doing mobile app and web app design as well. So their impact is not only on their business market, but their impact is immensely in the arenas that they're serving with employment opportunities. Everybody see it? Right, so your product and service offer, might be intertwined one and the same when you describe your offer. It's both your business market offer and your impact offer in the same breath. In some cases, you might have to kind of dualistically describe one, this is our business market offer, this is our impact offer, and how they relate one to another. Okay? Value proposition. Why does a customer buy from you? I think this is the hardest thing to do well. Why does a customer buy? I think they buy, and the value prop should say three things. Whatever you say in your value prop should absolutely resonate with your customer. When they hear it, they go, right on. I buy from you because of exactly what you just said. Right? So it's affirming, the customer affirms the relevance of that value prop. The second thing is you could substantiate the claim of the value prop. Right? You could substantiate the claim of the value prop. Right? One of Hope's many great redeeming aspects is the return rate. I'm not sure what you call that percentage, Peter, but it's that rate at which those people they loan money out to return, and it's an amazingly high number. Right? So they're absolutely able to quantify the value prop. Really, really helpful when you can quantify the value prop. The third thing is it is differentiated in your ability to deliver on it. Right? There aren't many places I'm going to go in the world with Hope International's vision and who they're reaching and have that kind of outcome, that kind of success. Okay? I think they're the three things your value prop has to very, very clearly articulate. It's not easy to do. And this is where your stakeholder interviews can really help you validate. Hey, is this messaging make sense? Right? When I do a lot of my consulting with companies, a lot of the game is messaging. Because if you don't use the right words and describe it in a way that resonates with your audience, you're not going to get a following. Right? People just aren't going to be excited about it. Okay? Starbucks coffee. What's their value prop? Maybe you guys don't think they have a value prop. Come on, what's the Starbucks value prop?
Coffee experience. It's more than just coffee.
Yeah, where's the guy say exactly? Okay, the coffee guys. What's the value prop of Starbucks? What do you think they're Hayden?
Well, a lot of it was when they initially started up was they kind of created the third location. They were kind of saying that a coffee shop was like a new place, a new experience to go out and.
Exactly. Their value prop was an experience, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Early on, right? Their value prop was an experience, and it was different back then. I mean, coffee shops have come a long way in 10 years. Oh my gosh. That industry has totally remade itself. Okay? Great. Under Armour. What's the value prop of Under Armour? Yeah. Yeah. High performance athletic gear. Right? And you see all these NFL teams, all these other major athletes wearing that brand. It sort of crosses over to them, and it kind of makes sense, right? Apple. What's the value prop of Apple? I'm not a big Apple fan, but I have to acknowledge their dominance in the market. What's the value prop of Apple? Anybody? I don't see any Apple laptops.
Quality and simplicity.
Simplicity and quality. Yeah, I think so. Great. Repeatedly, consistently, right? I mean, and the beautiful thing about that is it actually gives you permission to do adjacent things in the market. 10 years ago, if you said they're going to be in the watch business and television business, I would have said you're crazy. So the beautiful thing about the brand is it gives you permission. Yeah.
I just want to share, this is a great chart, and it is probably a pivotal one, is I work for a hand tool manufacturer, and the brand that I manage is called Gear Wrench. And it's a patented product that resonates, and that word is so strong. resonates with the emotional need of the end user. So this is where your voice of the customer comes in, as you go and ask them, what is most important to you? What resonates with you emotionally? And it's all about, I want to be productive. I want to be seen as the fix-it man. Therefore, what are those elements? It's speed, strength, and access. So the products we have all have to contain elements of speed, strength, and access. And that's where you quantify it, okay? So I can get the job done faster, 20% faster, 30% faster, with a gear wrench over a standard non-ratcheting wrench. And then where you differentiate the delivery is where we bring the products to market through local distribution, which calls directly on the automotive technicians in the shop. And so you get all three of those together.
Great example.
When you think about it, yeah.
Great example. Hard to do though, right? I mean,
Hard to do it. Yeah. And a lot of it starts with innovation. So I mean, we would not be successful if we hadn't found a technological advantage to the ratcheting tow wrench, which has been around for 100 years. We found a way to put a ratchet in the end and make it, useful. So it's patent.
Yeah.
So I would strive for you to look for innovation, something that your competition can't do.
Right.
Gives you a really good deal.
Awesome. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, so value prop's important, right? It's kind of really, your words are important and what matter as you sort of message what you're doing. Okay, so you're going to describe your value prop to both the business market and your impact market, right? Those same attributes should apply to your impact market as well. Okay? You're going to have partnerships to help you deliver your product. Just tell us who they are. Are they R&D? Are they manufacturing partners? Somebody, your businesses are so wide ranging. Restaurants have different partners than do, the energy monitoring system. I mean, it's hard to so I'm trying to be very general here. But what are the broad partnership categories that you need? And then tell us a little bit about that partnership. And if you have any ideas of who you're going to partner with, let us know. Okay? Now, you may not be able to articulate more than the broad sense of who you might need to partner with. And that's okay for now. That's okay for now. Some of you doing the web and mobile stuff, hosting partners, web development platforms would all be examples of partners. Okay? Let's move on. Let's talk about marketing and sales, distribution, and scale. Marketing is about creating qualified demand. Sales is about harvesting that demand. Okay? Those two work together. And channels simply provide access to a market to help grow your revenue. Right? At the beginning of each slide, I just try to give you like a few words to the core idea, because I'm afraid that for a lot of you, this is going to overwhelm you tonight, and that is not my intention at all. But I want to try to unpack the core idea so that when you leave here, if you look at nothing more than the title slides, they might help you remember what's the essence of the idea. Okay, so those are the three big things sort of going on here. I'm going to really kind of keep it simple for your marketing. There's all sorts of sophisticated things. I'm going to give you 4 things to think about in a little table. For each market that you're going to serve, what's the message you think you want to deliver? How are you going to invest? What kind of money, what kind of frequency are you going to have with that message? And what media might you use? Print, online. I don't think any of you are going to do any billboards. I hope not anyway, but I don't know. I don't want to limit you. Posters, social, Google AdWords, whatever makes sense for you guys. This shouldn't be more than about a quarter-page table. Just give us a high-level sense of, to create demand, this is what we would do. Okay? All right. Now, distribution is different. And this gets people very confused, so I'm going to try to demystify distribution. A direct sale is a sale you or agents working on your behalf make. Either in a retail outlet, a catalog, or your website, you're directly involved in that transaction. A channel sale happens through some intermediary who typically has better access to a market than you do, and you partner with them for that purpose. So far, so good? Okay? So channels buy us market access, is what we say. So here's an example, right? I'm a manufacturer, and one thing I might do is a direct sale to a consumer who could be an individual, a government, or a company. Right? That's my direct model. Channel model is I might actually partner with Buy.com and have them act as an e-com distribution channel for my product or service. They're acting as a channel. I might actually go through some wholesale channel that does maybe a catalog for distribution. And that order just comes back to me, and they might even do fulfillment of that order. Or I might even partner with an affinity organization like ARP if I'm selling to the retirement community, and they might be a channel access. Now, channels are going to cost you money, right? ARP might say, we'll do a deal to distribute your new mobile phone, but we want 30% of the revenue if we're going to act as your channel. So and Professor Johnson's going to talk about how you're going to maybe think about accounting for that as a cost of goods sold or some other vehicle. But you need to account for the cost of that partnership and its reduction in your net revenue. Okay, but you should be partnering. And every one of you, this applies. From surf and serve to restaurants, I mean, the channel partnerships are amazing. And most people understate channel partnerships, and they really lose market opportunity. So I want you to think holistically about that. And it applies as well there's one of the businesses, the Accent Academy, wants to deliver music lessons to folks with disabilities. So their direct model would be to go right to consumer and offer these lessons to students. They could go through a school district to act as a channel. Right? They might go to an organization that runs residential facilities for folks with special needs. It's another channel. Right? Or they might actually go through an advocacy group called ARC to reach that population as well. So I just am trying to emphasize that channel partners have an impact side and they have a business market side. You all need to think about what kind of makes sense for your particular business. Okay? So that's what you're going to do. You're going to kind of tell us what are your channel partnerships, what might they look like, how are you going to kind of frame that in your value prop. Final thing here is scalability. Scalability. Read the quote for a minute on the left. Okay? A startup's not a smaller version of a larger company. Okay? A startup's a temporary organization in search of a scalable, repeatable, and profitable business model. Right? A startup is on a journey. And this thing about scale is as the business grows, how are you going to support that opportunity for growth? So you need to think about if we were successful, how would we grow our enterprise? I give you 4 ideas to think about. Some of you might grow by just growing your organization and getting bigger. Right? Some of you may grow by adding additional locations, strategically sourced in the right markets that you want to serve. Some of you may replicate the model through partnership organizations. And some of you still may franchise the model. I don't really know. And it may be too early. You may say, you know what? We're not tackling the scale problem in our plan. We don't know. And it's okay to say we don't know yet. But if you have a thought about that, why not share it? Okay? And it doesn't have to be, well, it could be 3 sentences. Just an indication of we're thinking about scale, and this was what that might look like for us. Okay? Okay. Let's pause. What channel partnerships make sense for you to think about is the question I'd like you to kind of dialogue a little bit about amongst yourselves, and what might that look like. So let's take a few minutes. Peter, anything you want to say? Come on up.
Real quick, because I don't know about you, but if I was sitting there, this is awesome stuff, and there's probably so much that is coming at you right now, and I don't know if all of your heads are spinning. Anyone spinning just a little bit? My guess is it. All of this stuff is so good. You're going to come back to it. Can I just tell you 3 things that I heard from the presentation? Because sometimes just to take a step back, here are 3 things that I heard. The first thing is you've got to know your customer. When I was, I write books as a hobby, and whenever I start that process, you know the first thing that we do? We sit down and we name the reader We tell you what the reader listens to. We tell you where the reader goes out to eat. We tell you what the reader did today. That person is the names. And so we literally go through that exercise and name the person. And I can tell you all about the reader. So that you're not trying to reach some large market. I'm trying to reach Ebby. I'm just trying to reach him. That's the first thing. Simplicity in knowing who the audience is. The second thing, simplicity in design. Did you notice how when Brian gave Professor Nesmith, gave the examples, how each of the examples he gave was kind of back of the envelope? The consulting service was what? It was a real simple circle, and it showed where the markets were coming from. As much as possible, get your distribution, get all of that down in something that you can write on the back of a napkin, something that oftentimes is a graphical representation of what it is. Because if it's graphical, it's going to be more memorable, and you're going to be able to take these big concepts and then apply them. And then the third thing is just this overarching. My guess is that the temptation as you dive into this is going to be to get lost in details. Keep pulling yourself out of the details, and that's why I like designs. Pull yourself out of the details. Take your towel and wring out any necessary complexity as you can. Anytime you can get rid of complexity, you and your organization are going to be better. Last thing, this is a bonus one. On Monday of last week, I was in California, and I was debating Shane Claiborne on these exact conversations at Azusa Pacific University. And as we had this conversation where he would fall into a camp that's much more in redistribution, and I would fall into a camp of saying, let's do more wealth creation so we have more pies to give away. As we had this conversation, the thing that hit me is every time Shane would speak and he would go into a story, all of the stats became irrelevant. In a similar way, as you're doing your pitch, as you're doing your market research, have your ears open for the stories that are going to resonate. Because I know right now, I can tell you the story from India where he bought a child an ice cream cone, and that child gave everyone a lick of the ice cream cone and then offered him a lick of the ice cream cone. That story resonates in a way that statistics and all this don't. So as you're doing your research and as you're thinking about your pitch, don't miss the element of your own story. Why are you passionate about this? The story of the consumer, the story of the impact. All of those pieces are going to make sure that the judges, and more importantly, the broader audience of who you're trying to reach, are not going to waste. So I hope for each of these, you don't just come up with great designs. I hope you come up with simple plans, but I hope you also find out the stories that compel us and are going to compel your staff as well as the constituency and the consumers. Those stories are also going to play a critical role in compelling people to partner with you.
Awesome, Peter. Thank you. Okay, I'm worried about time. Is it okay if we keep going? Okay, we got a little more to do, and then I really want Professor Johnson to come on up. So your impact model is really pretty simple. It's about the positive outcomes that you hope to have, and all you're going to do is say three things. This is the impact market we're trying to serve. This is what we're offering. This is the outcome we hope to achieve. Pretty simple. And we're going to ask you to just answer three questions for your impact model. Who changes? Okay. Who changes? How do they change? And how do you know? Okay? Three things. And this is a great example where Peter's idea, the narrative, might be powerful. Right? How do they change is not a statistic, it's a changed life. It's someone who just has been transformed by the experience of interacting with your enterprise. And for every one of you, I think, well, for at least half of you, I think I know a persona that is etched in my mind as I read your 3-pager. And I want you to discover that real person and be able to tell the story. So sometimes impact just sort of jumps off the page at you. Okay? So that's what you're going to do for impact. You're going to tell us if you do know about your management team and who's going to have what responsibility. Give us a few sentences about that. Don't sort of belabor it, but tell us a little bit about that. Risks, tell us what risks you have. and how you're going to kind of manage them. And I'm going to just tell you real quick, for your business, these are my top 6 risks you probably need to think about. Okay? 1, is there a real market? Is there a real market there? What are you going to do during round 2 validation to convince us there's a real market? Number 2, convince us you know who you're going to channel partner with or not. Your risk might be, can we deliver that customer experience? Not sure. Financial. Can we make this profitable? Right? Can we put the offer together? Is it feasible? For the engineering guys, can you actually deliver that energy monitor? Okay, for Bam Bam, can you deliver on the value prop of a simple user experience for that app? For AfroBoost, can you have a wonderful crowdsourcing experience so when I come and log in and I authenticate, it's totally obvious to me what to do to invest in an African entrepreneur, right? They're the kinds of things that just have to kind of jump out at the page. On the impact market, some of you well-intentioned, I got to tell you, you're going to hit some brick walls when you try to figure out how to connect with these communities. They're not going to be that easy to serve. Some of them aren't very stable. They may not really kind of be that accepting of your idea, but that's the fun of it. That's where you're going to kind of say, the idea we had wasn't right, but because I validated, experimented early on, I have a much better idea on April 1st than I do on March 8th. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about compressed learning in 3 weeks. Right? That's like if some of you come in and say exactly what we said in our concept overview is what we're doing at the end of round 2, I'm like, wow, that might be the first time I've ever seen that, right? So just be years older, okay? Validation, we're going to ask, is it real? Is this thing real? Do we really think these guys and gals are going to launch the venture? That's important for us. Is it fundable beyond the $3,000, $5,000, or $2,000 you're going to get? There might be other capital required. If I were an investor writing a check, would I write a check for you guys? Right? I'm going to ask that question. Thirdly, is it launchable? Is this thing actually going to be able to be launched? Right? Or is this a paper exercise? Is this sustainable? Do we see this running for 5 years from now? Is this growing? The Surf and Serve in 4 countries with chapters all over. Is your apparel line like the buzz of the marketplace? Or your boards out there with your logo on it? I get excited about that. What impact are those mission trips having in the lives of the people that go and in the people you're serving? Awesome. Fantastic. Right? That's what I get excited about. And is it impactful? Right? They're the things we kind of worry about. And I think about, when I read your plan, they're the questions I'm asking myself. Okay? So validation, you do as much as you can to validate the reality of your plan. And that means the offer is feasible. We can build and do this thing we say. The partners are going to partner with us. We kind of have some evidence of that. The market, it's going to buy. We've got some proof of it. Okay, what's that look like? Value prop realized. We did a prototype and we got really good feedback. Yeah, customers are willing to pay. I know at least one team that's going to do a prototype dinner for their restaurant. At least that's their design. How cool is that? It's going to be hard to turn down if they have a successful dinner. It's not being viable, right? You guys are doing the trip in 2 weeks. How can you almost make that be a validation of your core idea? Be creative. That's what entrepreneurs are. Do you understand your price, your revenue, and your cost model? Some of you, we love your idea. We're just not sure you're ever going to be profitable. We got to worry about that, or we're doing a disservice to you as an entrepreneur. Okay, are you willing to engage with the right people? Are you worried about your impact outcomes? As your team, can you work together? Some of you guys may not like each other. You might love each other, but you may not like each other. By the end of the competition, right? So can you work together? And is this thing launchable and sustainable? Right? That's what we're thinking about. So when I say validate, that's the stuff I'm looking at. Okay, that's the stuff I'm looking at. All right, so and then tell us a little bit about whatever you don't get done in round 2, what would you do to validate in round 3? Final thing I want you to do, embedded deeply in it, there's 2 questions. In your opening exec summary, I want you to say, if you won the $5,000 prize, and I want you to be honest, what are you going to do with that money? Now, I'm not committed to this yet, but we're pretty close, but we're not there. I know I'm on video, I got to be careful. We're hopeful that for those of you who make it to round 3, we might actually give you $250 to spend. And we might want to know, we're going to want to know, I ask you now, in your round 2 submission, if you were given that $250, what would you do? Tells me an incredible amount about how you're thinking about the venture and the opportunity. Okay?